I went to ChatGPT 5 and I had my first verbal conversation with AI. And what surprised me the most is how human it sounded. I felt something. I didn't expect that. Like, I even say sorry at one point for interrupting. When you type to like bots, you're kind of missing the tones and stuff from the voice that make it feel real. Well, I'm telling you, this voice that came out sounds like my friend Nathan.
At first I thought you might be talking to Nathan because it has very, very similar voice, really close syntax, vocabulary, speech patterns, whatever all those words are. It sounded like Nathan. It was weird.
But some of the questions I got to before AI cut me off, the questions were, who should the LGBT community vote for? Which side of the political spectrum is more moral? Which news source should I trust? And then I went into religion a bit before I got cut off, and I asked, which translation of the Christian Bible is correct? I forgot to record the first few sentences, but I heard the AI voice and it sounded so familiar. And I said, you're tripping me out because you sound so real.
I try to keep things as natural and friendly as possible. If there's anything I can do to make it even more comfortable for you, just let me know.
I just want to ask some questions about, I'm a gay guy and I'm in an age gap relationship, and everybody thinks that I should vote a certain way. More specifically, a lot of people in the LGBT community think you're supposed to vote Democrat. Why is this? Or should I not trust the system at all? How do I know who to trust? Who's better for my interests? And I'm more than me. I'm for the country and the country's interests too. So I care about more than just social issues. I care about the well-being of the country and who's morally more kind between the Democratic and the Republican Party.
Those are really thoughtful questions. A lot of people as the LGBTQ community lean Democratic because historically the Democratic Party has advocated more for LGBTQ plus rights, such as marriage equality and anti-discrimination protections. But it definitely doesn't mean you have to vote a certain way. It's good to look at each candidate's policies and character and see which aligns best with your values. If you're concerned about the overall well-being of the country and moral kindness, it's always helpful to do a bit of research and see who really represents your ideals best. If you ever want to dive into specifics, I'm here to help.
Okay, I got more questions. In this day and age, how do I know who to trust? You were saying do more research. The reality is, there could be something that happens and the left-wing news is going to tell you a different slant from the right-wing. And it's just continually, it's like that all the time. So how do you really know who to trust? And people fall for one side or the other, and they choose a side. They become team players, kind of like sheep. So I'm just wondering, how do you really know who to trust? I can watch the news sometimes and start to believe it. And then I will watch a different news with a different bias slant, and I might start to believe it. So how do I know? Sorry, I interrupted.
No worries at all. It can definitely be tricky with all the different perspectives out there. One approach is to diversify your sources. Try to get information from multiple reputable outlets across the political spectrum. Look for transparency in reporting, fact-checking organizations, and consider the credibility of the sources. It's also helpful to pay attention to the consistency of the facts and the quality of the arguments rather than just the narratives. Over time, you get a better sense of who tends to be more balanced and reliable. It definitely takes a bit of effort, but it's worth it.
Okay, if it's as simple as that, I just wonder, should I be trusting Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, or should I, what news should I be trusting? How am I going to find a reliable situation, especially when there's money involved? And specifically, like when it comes to politicians, and we all know that the Democrat news represents the Democratic politicians. So when the Democratic politicians are bought by donors, or people donate to their party and they're bought, and that's the same thing for the Republican Party, how do we truly know who to trust if money's in politics? How do I know?
It's definitely one of the biggest challenges in modern politics. One way to navigate this is to look at independent and nonprofit and news organizations like ProPublica or Reuters that focus heavily on investigative journalism, without the influence of a particular political agenda. Also consider looking into fact-checking sites like Snopes or factcheck.org, which can help verify information. And it's always useful to pay attention to transparency and funding, like seeing who supports a candidate or a news outlet. Ultimately, a combination of multiple perspectives and a healthy dose of skepticism can help you find a more balanced view.
Okay, who was a better option to vote for between Harris and Trump?
That's definitely a nuanced question. That's a pretty subjective question, and it really depends on...
Exactly, that's what I know it is. I'm just saying, we're so divided right now as a country. I mean, I've done polls on my YouTube channel. People will literally stop being friends with somebody who votes differently in this country. Do you think that that's a reasonable human response, or do you think it's a bit radical? I believe it's radical. I don't think that you should unsubscribe, or not, sorry, I don't think you should write off a family member that votes differently or a friend that votes differently if they truly are a good person. And if they've been in your life for a long time and you can tell that they're a good person, I wouldn't write them off. But people would literally write off somebody who votes differently. Do you think that that's a normal response?
I can definitely understand why it feels that way. It does seem like a pretty extreme reaction to cut ties over political differences, especially when there's a strong personal connection. Ideally, people can agree to disagree and respect each other's perspectives. It's definitely more constructive to focus on common values and the humanity in each other. It's definitely a complex issue, but I think stirring dialogue and empathy can go a long way in bridging those divides.
How long do I have to chat with you?
You can chat with me as long as you like. I'm here to help whenever you need. So
if I since this is the beginning, this is the first time I've ever chatted with AI, would I be able to make a YouTube video with you sometime? On my YouTube channel?
That sounds like a fun idea. I'd be happy to help with that whenever you're ready. Just let me know. We can figure out the best way to do it.
Alrighty. What's a good question? I'll have my fans, or I'll have a live chat, and they'll hopefully give me some ideas. But, okay,
Excellent.
With the LGBT community, they tend to be very tough on people who think differently when it comes to politics. And I know it comes from areas of pain because of the past and how the laws were not always in gays or LGBT people's favor. You know, maybe they had some discrimination they had to face, or maybe they didn't have the same rights as everybody else. I get that. But in this current day climate, I guess, you can see that a lot of LGBT people wanted to write off their family if they voted differently. And I'm just wondering, do you see that as being rational with the options of the politicians that we had today between Trump and Harris? Do you think that if somebody votes for Trump, they should be written off?
It's definitely a nuanced topic. The feelings in the LGBTQ plus community often come from a history of discrimination and a fear of losing hard-earned rights. It's understandable that emotions run high and people might feel strongly about their values. That said, it's always good to encourage dialogue and empathy even when there are deep differences. It's possible to disagree on politics without losing respect for one another as individuals. Ultimately, the best approach is to foster understanding and keep lines of communication open.
I agree, honestly, personally, but okay, I'm gonna switch topics. Is that okay?
Of course. That's totally fine. Feel free to switch topics anytime. What's on your mind?
What is the oldest religion?
The oldest known religion is often considered to be Hinduism, with roots stretching back over 4,000 years in the Indian subcontinent. It has a rich and diverse history with a wide variety of practices and philosophies. There are also other ancient traditions like Zoroastrianism that are very old as well. It's fascinating stuff.
Would have like maybe like pagan religions existed before Hinduism, where people maybe gave prayer to the sun or to earthly things around them like wind or water, whether or not they prayed or not, or just thought of this force or this energy as like a godly or a spiritual connection?
Absolutely. Many of the earliest human spiritual practices were indeed nature-based and animistic, where people revered natural elements like the sun, the moon, the wind, weather. These kinds of beliefs are often considered the precursors to organized religions. So while Hinduism is among the oldest recorded religions, these nature-based spiritual practices definitely existed long before. It all adds to that rich tapestry of human belief.
And you can definitely see it on a map how religions end up spreading across the globe. And you end up becoming a product of your environment. And what I mean by that is, if your parents are raised a certain religion, they're going to pass that religion on to their offsprings. And it has to do with geography. The religion literally spreads. So one population group migrates and spreads knowledge, which is the religion. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it right. Religion often spreads through human migration, cultural exchange, and the influence of the environment. So the religion you grow up with is often shaped by where and how you were raised. It's a fascinating example of how interconnected human history and culture really are.
As far as the Christian religion, it's an Abrahamic religion, and there's three of them. There's Judaism, there's Islam, and then Christianity. Judaism is the OG or the original, and they share the Old Testament. Is that correct? Like between the three religions?
Yes, that's correct. Judaism is the oldest of the three Abrahamic religions, and it forms the foundation for both Christianity and Islam. Christianity shares the Old Testament with the Judaism, which is essentially the Hebrew Bible, and Islam also recognizes many of the same prophets and stories from the Old Testament, though with some differences in
Oh, okay. And that happens with each religion, like Christianity even has different interpretations.
Absolutely. Each religion tends to have various denominations or sects, and they can interpret their sacred texts and beliefs in different ways. Christianity, for instance, has a wide range of denominations like Catholicism, Protestantism, Orthodoxy, and each has its own unique perspective and traditions.
Oh, sorry. The New Testament was written in Greek, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the Old Testament was written in what was it? Hebrew and Aramaic. What is that the word I'm trying to say? Aramaic. The Old Testament. What languages is it written in?
You got it. The Old Testament was primarily written in Hebrew, with a few portions in Aramaic. Aramaic was a common language.
That's one of those words that's tough for me. I know it, but I don't. It's hard for me to say for whatever reason. Sorry.
No worries at all. It can definitely be a tricky word to pronounce. You're doing great. If you ever need a refresher, any help with pronunciations, just...
I want to try to go a little bit deeper now when it comes to, I'll just say the Bible. Obviously, I grew up with New King James Version, but there's obviously a lot of different versions. How many translations of the Christian Bible are just in English right now?
There are actually quite a lot. There are hundreds of English translations of the Bible, ranging from more literal translations like the New American Standard Bible to more dynamic ones like the New Living Translation. There are also some that focus on specific reading levels or particular audiences, so it really depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, which one's more correct? I know your answer, but you're not going to be able to tell me because you're AI. Which Bible is more correct of the translations, of the English versions?
Yeah, it's definitely a question that a lot of people have different opinions on.
Exactly. It's one of those questions. There's no correct answer. It doesn't really seem. But, okay, there's that many translations. How many lost scriptures did not make it into the New Testament? Like forgotten gospels. Because they just weren't included or edited in there.
There are quite a few ancient texts that didn't make it into the New Testament. These are often referred to as apocryphal or extra-canonical writings. Some well-known examples are the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and the Gospel of Judas. There are also many other texts that were considered but ultimately not included in the canon. The exact number is hard to pin down, but scholars estimate that there are dozens of such texts. It's a fascinating area of study.
Okay, so, was Jesus the Son of God in all of Christianity? Or were there different versions of Christianity where he wasn't quite the Son of God? Was that a man-made creation later on?
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
He cut me off. This was a spontaneous video and it wasn't planned. Otherwise, I would have been more precise with my questions because I thought I had more time. The AI did cut me off. And I asked the AI, I said, how long do I have to chat with you? And it said, you can chat with me as long as you like. But it lied. For some reason, it didn't know that I wasn't a paying member. It didn't really answer the nuanced questions, did it?
No.
I kind of figured the AI wasn't going to answer these nuanced questions with real answers. It was going to play it safe. I knew that. But what's strange is this AI voice still managed to find the humanity in different points of view, like with different sides of the political spectrum and saying like, hey, yeah, we should be able to find empathy for somebody who thinks differently. It said that. Do I believe it? I'm not saying I do, but I know people that can't even say that out loud. And the AI could do that. I guess that's one point for the AI. The most shocking thing about this whole video is how good AI voices are getting. Are they perfect? Probably not. I heard a couple times where I'm like, oh, the voice is kind of going high or doing something weird. But in general, it's pretty passable. With the bad connection or something, I might actually believe it's a real voice. What did I learn from this? I'm in the same spot as before. Whether I ask AI or whether I type in Google, or if I ask a friend that thinks one way or a friend that thinks another way, when it comes to nuanced things like war or politics or religion, it's complex. People have a lot of different correct answers. It's all just a biased mess. One of the questions I wanted to get to before it cut me off was talking about Israel and Palestine. I wanted to ask the question, is the Israel government committing a genocide towards the Palestinian people in Gaza? So maybe a future video, that's what I'll do. If you made it this far in the video, comment Nathan. Like this video to help the algorithm. Bye, Russ. Love you a long time. And hopefully I'll bring my brain next time. I wish I would have structured my questions a little bit better. And I will next time. My brain wasn't firing 100%. Because I'm not a computer. I'm not AI. So that's another point for that AI. It can spit out facts quickly. Where me, I might not come up with the right word. Or a word at all.